Hello again, everyone. How you doing? It's a hot one here in Britain. I'm reading all the messages here, and obviously the weather is is all over the place everywhere. Some of you are experiencing very cold weather right now. Some of us are saying that it's very hot, like it is here in England. Um, Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? How's life with you? It's been a quite an intense week for me. I did a couple of gigs with Johnny Hates Jazz with Mike in a place called Canary Wharf in London, which is kind of a hyper modern business centre in London, but really beautiful in its own way. And they were great gigs. We met some lovely people there, and it was great to reunite with our the players that we worked with: Marcus Bonfanti on guitar, Alex Reeves on drums, Rosa Ullman on keyboards. This was the band actually that we took with us to Japan in 2019, and they're all great people. It was a good gig, but you know what? We were on late, 9:30 till 11:30, and then we had to pack up, of course, say hi to everyone, pack up, and then come back home, and I just couldn't sleep. So I've been kind of putting this together by the seat of my pants a little bit. This particular episode. Anyway, let's check in on everyone. Becky's saying all okay. How are you? Like I said, Becky, I'm all right. David, you're surviving. Well, I've given that answer many a time. I hope you're doing well, David. I know life has its ups and downs, doesn't it? Veronica's saying, yes, it's hot here also. Fatima saying, sending you hugs, Clark. Thanks, Fatima. Um, Howard Dobson, iced tea tonight sounds like a great idea. Howard, I'm not quite sure where you are, but so if I'm saying something obvious, sorry about that. But for any of you who don't know, iced tea is really uncommon in Britain. It's really common in the US, and when I lived there, I drank copious amounts of it. Um, but it should become more popular. You can get it, but not like you can get it in supermarkets, gas stations in the States. I really liked the Arizona iced tea, actually. This is not product placement, but it certainly is refreshingly lovely. Okay, let's see how everyone else is doing. Richard, how you doing, Richard? Hi, Clark. Hope you're okay on this sunny Saturday afternoon. Looking forward to the latest installment of Journey Songs. Could do with some rain to dance in. Do you know, I was thinking that, Richard, it's ironic, isn't it? This is the name of the song is going to be looked at on this day of all days. Kelly saying, how was your London performance? Really good, thanks, Kelly. Annie, the gig was amazing. It was fabulous to see the Massive. We couldn't sleep either. Is that so? Annie was at the gig with the Johnny Hates Jazz Massive. I've told you about this lot before. There is a page on Facebook that you're welcome to join. I guess Annie and Roz and Moya who run it. And Alice is saying it's very cloudy here in Seattle after a huge heat wave. Hugs from Seattle. I'm glad it is cloudy there, Alice, in many ways, because we're experiencing radical extremes in temperature now and weather patterns, which we'll get into, and why Raindance is very relevant right now. Sylvia saying, hi Clark, always hot in Florida. I'm sure you're excited about your daughter's upcoming visit. I am, Sylvia, yes, she's coming tomorrow evening, so I'm glad everyone was cool, or nearly everyone was cool with me doing this on a Saturday, but thanks very much for that. Yeah, it'd be great to see her. What we've got here, we've got Davina. Um, uh, so long I've been away busy with assignments. Hello Clark and your little fox friend. Oh, you can see, yes, of course. There you go. Someone asked if I was going to have a mascot, and this is one of my other foxes. I've got quite a few of them out of shot, so they're all going to make an appearance. So yes, this little foxy can look at you. Um, what we've got our friend from St. Petersburg. Hello, man. How are you doing? And Roz is saying, how about some Harrogate mineral water? This is a mineral water that I inadvertently advertised during the gigs in London, because I kept drinking out of it and saying how wonderful it was, realizing that actually I was advertising this water. I did it on purpose, actually. Okay, Kimberly. Hi, Clark from the sunny and warm Catskill Mountains in New York. Very beautiful there. Hope you're doing well and happy to hear the shows are magnificent. Looking forward to catching a future show sometime. Really enjoying these weekly live streams. I'm so glad, Kimberly. Thanks very much for that. And I'm looking forward to going to the Catskills one day. I haven't been there for a long time since we filmed the Turn Back the Clock video, actually. Okay, just a couple more, then I'm gonna plow ahead, folks. But thanks so much for your lovely messages. Um, yes, Ezria is saying today you put a new friend on your table. Cute soft toy. That's right. He doesn't like being called a toy though because he's a real fox. Okay. And Bernard says best wishes from very hot Lubeck. Ah, okay. That's interesting. Like here. Um, and we've got Jill Marie is saying drinking Arizona right now, overlooking Lake Lochmere on this beautiful sunny day. You're having a some Arizona iced tea. Oh, lovely. I do miss that. And Larissa is saying, hi Clark, good afternoon. How are you? Very well, thank you. I'm so happy to see you today. Raindance, how wonderful. I love this song. I'm really looking forward to hearing you sing. A wonderful weekend for you. Thank you so much, Larissa. That's a lovely message. Okay, everyone. I am lots of lovely messages here. I will just say a quick hi to uh, I'll say a quick hi to Roz again. Roz runs the Johnny Hates Jazz Facebook page, okay? So, with me and Mike. So she deserves an extra mention. I will dedicate Raindance to my sunflowers today. They need a drenching. Maybe I'll use some Harrogate mineral water. Very good idea. You could, you know what? If you run out of anything, how about some Clipper organic English breakfast tea? It really is a cut above. Okay, and last for now, although I can't say last, can I? Polly, hi all, love the Foxy, great Polly. I'm glad you can join us. Moya, who came to the gig, fantastic to catch up with you and Mike. Sunny here in Kent too. You're still in Kent? Okay, cool, Moya. And Kumiko, hi Clark from Japan. Hello, Kumiko, konnichiwa. And Gustavo, hello Clark. Chile is present here. Glad to see you in another journey. Hello, Gustavo. Hola, Gustavo. I'm glad that Chile is represented. And Carol says, looking forward to the story behind Raindance. That's wonderful. And a lovely supportive little logo you've got there of the England team, who deserve support. I agree. That's another story, folks. Okay, everyone, let's move on and let's get into Raindance because I know I've been making these streams quite long, and I kind of think that my idea is that I'm going to continue doing the weekly streams, but once a month, soon, I'm going to start doing an extra Journey Songs, a kind of a Journey Songs hangout, which will be exclusive to people who sign up to my website. And if you do that, you're going to become part of something called the Clark Datchler Collective. And you will have access to this monthly stream as well as the normal Journey Song streams. And there I'm going to go deeper in songs that I am not covering in the normal Journey songs, or maybe some that I've already covered but I'll go deeper with. But anyway, I'll clue you in on how that's going to work soon, okay? Oh yes, I must just say quick hi to Hiro. Konnichiwa, Clark. What was the 80s like for you? Good question, Hiro. Well, the 80s was, we all reminisce and we all think about that time as being, magical. And there were so many fantastic things about it. Fantastic music, fantastic movies, dubious politics, and the like. But when you're in it, you don't realise, because there's no end to the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. It's just time. And it's a gradual development, or I say evolution in one way, devolution in another. It goes both ways. But in looking back, it was a really magical time, and I'm still amazed at the quality of music throughout that decade. Was just up there with the 70s and 60s for me. They were the 30 years of absolute, incredible music. That's not to say there wasn't some fantastic music in the 40s and the 30s, may I say, and the 50s. And some good music in the 90s. And you know what? There's some good bands out there now. They're just not getting a lot of recognition because of this juggernaut of streaming and how the major labels dominate that. But I'm going off at a tangent. And we've got here Art saying, my friend Art, how you doing, Art? All right, do the Hangout live. Yes, I will. Absolutely, Art. It will be live. Um, and I hope you'll be there, man. We'll talk about that. And Veronica's saying, so excited. I'm glad. I'm really glad. And Kelly's saying, you were an icon of the 80s. That's very kind of you, Kelly. Uh, it's an interesting time because actually, it was a good question, Hero. It it leads very nicely into what I'm going to talk about with Raindance because, of course, Raindance, the song, was written in 88, 89, really right after Turn Back the Clock, and then released on the Raindance album in 1990. So there was an absolute sea change that happened in music around that time, and it kind of plays a story, but plays part of the story of Raindance. I just want to see. I noticed that Fiona said a quick hello. Hi, Clark. Really enjoyed the gig on Thursday. Oh, Fiona, great you came with your father. I hope you got back all right. Lovely to see you, and thank you for coming down to see us. It was a beautiful meeting and lovely story. Annie, how are you? Videos from the gig are on the massive Facebook page. Good point, Annie. I'm glad I saw your message. There you go. Find Johnny Hates Jazz Massive on Facebook, and if you want to join Annie, who regularly, films what she can of us, really good as well. Annie always does well with this. It has put it up there for anyone who wants to see. So thank you, Annie. I appreciate that. So yeah, you could join and make the massive even bigger if you want. But you can also do something else in addition, because my website, clarkdatcher.com, is live. And a few of you found it out very, very surreptitiously when I said last week it wasn't live yet. Well, a few of you just checked it out and saw that it actually was live, and you've signed up, and I appreciate that. The general sign up, folks, means that in theory, you're going to get more information from me when things happen, and that will become true as things develop. But you get a free download as well of a song that's actually on Journey Songs 1 on disc 3. But no one's ever heard before, except a couple of people close to me. Mike is one of them. And this is what I sounded like before I joined Johnny Hates Jazz, just before. It's a cool track. It's a really cool track. Should have been a single, but there you go. So there you go. ClarkThatcher.com is live now. And so when this is finished, why don't you go over there, check it out, and if you want to, sign up. And it's going to grow. It's like this is the kind of the bare bones of the website. It's going to grow and become more full. Should we put it that way? Yes. Okay. Let's just see what Sonia is saying here. An interesting comment here. This is a good song, but it seems to me that this is a combination of a dance melody and serious philosophical reflection. An interesting idea. Sonia, that's a very, very good comment. And of course, that was true with I Don't Want to Be a Hero. That was something that I had done for some time. Actually, before I became part of Johnny Hates Jazz, before the band was formed, I was experimenting with that. And I didn't invent that idea. People often say that to me. It's a really interesting combination of these kind of often up-tempo tracks, very memorable melodies, but then hyper serious lyrics. So Hero was kind of, the last one I'd done like that. And there were more on the Raindance album. And then a couple more on the Fishing for Souls album, and then a lot more on the Tomorrow album. But anyway, I'm digressing again. So, as you know, folks, this was the title track of a 1990 album by me called Raindance. And this comes into play in terms of what was happening musically then, because the 80s was ending, even though I said the 70s to the 80s didn't really end, because actually punk started in the late 70s, mid 70s actually, and then electronica was already happening in the 70s. What was happening in the 80s to 90s was much more intense, and really the music industry has not recovered, I don't think, since then. I'm not going to get into too much detail because I will go off at a tangent. But Raindance was, as I've said in my posts, my first environmental song. And you're right, Sonia, as you pointed out, it's very kind of upbeat. So you wouldn't expect such a lyric with that song. But in some ways, um, let's just talk about what influenced that song, or rather, who did. Because musically, it was influenced by two people subliminally, and one of them was Donald Fagen. A track from The Nightfly, which is an incredible album. This is Donald Fagen from Steely Dan, everyone. The Nightfly, legendary album. There's a track on there called IGY. Um, it's a fantastic song with this kind of rhythm, and also talking about the future. I think IGY's subtitle is um, "What a Beautiful World" or "What a Wonderful World." I can't remember, but it's a very positive look at how the future will be with all of the advantages of technology, and exciting times when you can travel great distances in just a minute, and it's lovely in a way. Raindance actually kind of took the opposite view, but it was a really fantastic track, and I was very influenced by that whole album, but especially IGY. So if you want to check it out, if you don't know it already, like I say, Donald Fagen, IGY from The Nightfly. And you'll just hear the groove more than anything, and some fantastic horn section playing, which I think is the Brecker brothers. The horns on Raindance were arranged by Jerry Hay, who I've mentioned earlier, who is up there with the Brecker brothers. Also, though, what was another subliminal influence? Because if you think about Raindance and Heart of Gold, they have a similar rhythm. They're kind of this. I'll quickly play it for you. So this is obviously the. And then if you go to Heart of Gold, so that kind of offbeat thing is a kind of a, what we would call a lovers rock reggae kind of vibe. And most people did it very gently, but someone who did it more aggressively, which is what I got into, is Stevie Wonder on the album Hotter Than July, the single Master Blaster. Now, Master Blaster was not my favourite Stevie Wonder song, and Hotter Than July was not my favourite Stevie Wonder album, bearing in mind he was one of my heroes. But Master Blaster's groove and how aggressive and energy filled Stevie was when he wrote it and performed it, I loved it. I loved it. So there you got those two influences musically kind of informed how I musically approached Raindance. So I'm going to get back to the change of time in a minute, but this is the story. Featuring on Raindance is again Candy Dulfer, who, if you remember, I introduced as being a contributor to the Raindance album when I covered State of Play. And Candy does a fantastic saxophone solo on the Raindance version of Raindance. What does that mean? Well, that means that the album Raindance was produced by Umberto Katika, who I've explained before, and we approached it in a very specific way, and Candy was someone that I had to come on to that album. So that said, times were changing, and after Crown of Thorns came out, the record company Virgin started talking to me about the idea of re-recording Raindance, because musically things were changing so quickly, and maybe adding some songs to it and kind of preparing it for what evidently was happening in the 90s. So I did that with Rupert Hine, the producer, and my good friend Stephen W. Taylor, who was Rupert's engineer at that time, now does his own thing. Rupert sadly passed away a little while ago. And that became the album Fishing for Souls. So that was really the label's response to the fact that they could see I'd made an album with Raindance that really had its roots in the 80s still, in the late 80s. It's set, for a lot of you, you've commented on this before, it sounds like, it could have been a follow-up to Turn Back the Clock, in a way. So this is the response. I agreed. I met Rupert, really liked him, and we came up with this new album of partly re-recorded songs, partly new songs called Fishing for Souls. And there's a re-recorded version of Raindance on that album. And Candy doesn't do the solo actually. Dan Huff, who I've also mentioned played guitar on a lot of the stuff I did, Crown of Thorns especially, he's featured, does the solo on the Fishing for Souls version. But fortunately, everyone, this is all history, and this is, I hope, of some interest to you. But this is all history, and I kind of wanted to have a fresh start with Journey songs and just say, you know what, I don't want to treat these as songs from the past because, they're none of them household standards. I've taken a very particular path, and I'm very clear on what I want to achieve. And when I started the Journey Songs live stream, I'd already decided that I wanted to just not deal with reissues of Raindance or Fishing for Souls or Tomorrow or whatever. I wanted to gather them together as part of an anthology that will keep going into the future with new material. And so both Raindance and Fishing for Souls will be part of Journey Songs 1. A few of you have asked me, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? It might even become available for pre-order this week. And I'm sorry I'm being a bit vague, but because of the pandemic and the fact that the UK has left the EU, there are all kinds of production issues that I'm wrestling with right now. So bear with me. I will let you know, though, if it becomes available this week. Otherwise, it will be available for pre-order next week. So Journey Songs consists of Raindance, remastered, great remasters actually, Fishing for Souls on disc 2, and disc 3 is material that most of which you haven't heard before, from that time, right after the Fishing for Souls time, and right before the Johnny Hates Jazz time with this track I'm talking about that you can download when you sign up to the Clark Datcher Collective. Okay, how are we all doing? Let's just have a quick hello to people here. See you're doing all right. Sylvia's saying Donald Fagen's IGY is a really cool song. Anything Fagen and Becker did was a groove and just plain good music. I agree, Sylvia. This is Steely Dan, who were a huge influence on us in Johnny Hates Jazz. What have we got here? Lax says, why did you choose Raindance as the album title, Clark? The song seems to also have shared some DNA with My Old Piano along with Heart of Gold. My Old Piano, a little bit. I get that very much, Lax. That's a track from the Wide Awake album. Heart of Gold, definitely. Yeah, I tend to do those songs. On Tomorrow, it was a song called Mother Tree. But again, loosely speaking. Okay, let's see. Carol says, Journey Songs brings all the songs to life. Thank you, Carol. That's the idea, really, to make them present again. Art is asking, Clark, do you ever write because you hear something in someone else's music? You know what, Art, it's a great question, and you being a writer yourself will understand the process. It really rarely happens, and if it does, I usually end up not finishing it because I just feel it's too related. I think it's all subliminal. I think this is a problem with the whole concept of plagiarism, because as much as it angers me, and I think there are instances when people generally, copy a piece of music, I think a lot of the time it happens subconsciously. People just don't realize there's so much music out there now, so much music that's available. It's really hard for the younger generation especially to know what's come before. So no, Arthur, I wouldn't. I would say this though: if I hear someone else's music and it really moves me, I think that it moves me to write something, but it's not necessarily like them. It's just it puts me in the creative spirit. You know what I mean, man. A great piece of music can do that to you, can do that to all of us. It moves us into this creative realm where we suddenly feel compelled to create something or do something dynamic or make a change or whatever it is. Power of music. John, hello John, how you doing, man? John in Norway. The sounds of summer 1990 still ring true, present as ever. All my love. Thanks, John. Lovely of you to join us. I'm glad you're here, man. John originally kept the Johnny Hates Jazz flame going with johnnyhatesjazz.com when we'd split up. And he got hold of the name and created a website that, really created a focal point for people who were still interested in the band. So, John, hats off to you, man. Um, and I know that Raindance was an important album for you, and we've talked about that. And it's so lovely to hear your memories of that time. Okay, just a couple of other things. Oh, and Arts is saying this because Arthur is, as I've mentioned to you before, a fantastic, very, very well known and successful keyboard player and composer, and was talking to me last night about his conversation with Donald Fagen. And he says, Donald told me he wrote that song in his bathroom. What? IGY? Or Walk Between Raindrops, as we were talking about yesterday? Please tell me, Art, which one was it? That's radical. It's kind of Donald Fagen, though, isn't it? Um, Carolina says, Hi Clark, sorry for being late. Well, I'll let it go this time. So happy to hear about other songs that were not so popular at their time. Hopefully they will receive the love that they deserve in the present time. That's really sweet of you, Carolina. I hope so, because... Um, oh, Arthur says it was IGY. That's very cool. Okay, very cool. In the bathroom. I'll have to try that. Rocio says, love the website. Cool, Rocio. Thank you. You checked it out already. Thanks a lot. And very good. Okay, everyone, I'm going to move forward now because I am typically talking and talking and talking. So let's go back to what I was saying about Fishing for Souls. Rupert Hine on the left now. Now Rupert had produced lots of people. Tina Turner, Howard Jones, The Fix. I've mentioned The Fix before. Stunning band, not as well known as they should have been. But lots and lots of other people. And Rupert said to me as we were recording, we didn't know each other well, and we got to know each other well. He said, you know what, Clark? You're the last of a dying breed, or at least one of the last. Sorry, I think it was one of the last. It's a bit presumptuous of me to say I was the last. He said, you're one of the last of a dying breed. And I, in my naivety, said, what do you mean? He said, well, times are changing. And the kind of musician that you are, that writes their own music, writes their own lyrics, plays their own instruments, sings their own songs, and wants to influence the course of the future with your songs and your lyrics is passing. It's ending. Something else is coming. It's a juggernaut that we can't stop. That's what he said to me. And I didn't really understand what he meant until years later. And of course, folks, what happened in the 90s, amongst other things, I'm not here to, I don't like the decadization of music, and there was some good music made in the 90s, but what came to prominence was the rise of girl bands, of boy bands, of rap, of Disney stars, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, people who had been kind of groomed to be incredible entertainers. But that's not the world that I came from. None of that. And that meant that the kind of melody-driven and socially conscious driven lyrics that I came from, that school of thought, was being supplanted by something else that I think the record industry wanted to happen. We have to remember, folks, that, I know I've said this before, music was so dominant as a form of social commentary and influence in the 60s, 70s and 80s and the 50s to a degree, that I think there was a concerted effort to pull the rug from under our feet. That phrase means take the power out of our hands. And the way you do that is that you create entertainers, or you give entertainers the chance to do what they do, but you make sure you're in control of what they sing and what they record and who they work with. Essentially, they just become mouthpieces who can dance incredibly well. I'm not saying not. So, there's two sides to everything here, folks, but, people like myself, Tears for Fears, Talk, those kind of deep thinkers of the 80s. were really being put to one side. So let's look at this a bit more, okay? Because um, why do I think that was happening? Well, let's think about what was happening in the 80s, and then I will get to the song because I know I'm going on a bit here. What was happening in the 80s was the rise of the environmental movement, and I don't know if any of you remember this, but all over the world, the Green Party was becoming influential, and in so doing, that was just a mirror of the fact that we were all becoming far more aware of what we were doing to the planet. Now, there were various reasons for this happening, but most of all, we could just see around us and inhale around us and taste around us and all these different sensory experiences that we were having, that things weren't right. And coupled with that, we have to remember it wasn't just the rise of the environmental movement, but it was the rise of the nuclear disarmament movement, because we were in a Cold War, East and West. And, both fearful of the other. It was such a really a very sad state of affairs because, on both sides of the wall, whether physical or metaphorical, people had much more in common with each other than they had differences. But there was this ideological conflict going on. And we could see the nuclear war was a potential, as well as what we were doing to the planet environmentally. So I wanted to, reflect my own concerns. And those concerns came about really as I was touring with Johnny Hates Jazz, with Turn Back the Clock, because we went around the world and I could see that one thing that we all had in common from these different places throughout the planet was that we were destroying our wild places and we were making our urban centres uninhabitable. And this really affects me. It didn't just affect me, folks, it shocked me awake. I'd always been concerned, I'd always loved nature, but I came back from those promotional journeys and I was so sad. And I say that because I could reel off stats here, which you've all heard about what we're doing to the planet, and what the rise in temperatures means, and how much of the Arctic and Antarctic sea ice has been melting quicker than ever before. But I'm not going to do that because you've been bombarded with that. It's overwhelming. I just love the planet. I just love trees, and I love mountains, and I love rivers, and I love, parks where kids can play. I love wild animals, and I think farm animals are treated unbelievably abysmally. So I come at it from a place of, why are we doing this to our home, this beautiful sphere of life? I know I've said this before, folks, so I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but we're heading somewhere, folks, and you know where it is. I think we all know where it is. It's a cataclysmic time if we're not careful. And I'm not one of these people that wants to predict the end of the world. That there's plenty of them out there, and they say it's going to happen on this date, and it doesn't, and then they move it to another date. I don't mean like that. I think that we're all seeing, through recent events, especially in the northwest of the US and Canada, of course, now on the west coast, unbelievable heat waves, and we've seen the drastic deluge of rain in northwest Europe, where many, many people, it would seem, have lost their lives as rivers burst their banks and swept entire villages and towns away. It's unbelievable, folks. And of course this is happening in other parts of the world. And I'm sorry if I sound a bit kind of Euro and US centric or North American centric. Of course this happens in other parts of the world. But these are very recent events. So this is very serious, folks. Now, let's go back to this image, because this is the image that I want us to hold on to. And I purposely have this image, folks, because I wanted to have Central and South America in there, because Central and South America does not get the attention it deserves. It's incredibly important with the Amazon, um, and the beautiful, beautiful, incredible history that exists there, and the lovely people. I love that part of the world. So hello to all of you. Hola to all of you. Um, so, folks, my reaction to this was I thought, well, I'm going to write at least one song about what we're doing to the earth, and that song is Raindance. Um, and Raindance was to the backdrop of the fact that these scenes, this is actually from the Amazon, but I don't want to over focus on the Amazon because this stuff is happening just up the road from where I live. With the construction of a high speed uh, rail link. We are just treating the earth with such disregard. It's shocking. Um, so I wanted to write Raindance really in support of and dedication to the environmental effort to change the course of humanity in how we produce and consume. In fact, I don't even like the word consumers. Whenever someone says that to me in terms of music, about the consumption of music, this is often the case in the media. That was a 90s thing, by the way. Talk about, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, you know what we did with music? We listened. You consume a cheese sandwich. Music is not a cheese sandwich. Well, it's not to me. So I won't use that word again. There's a line in the song Wide Awake from the title track of the new Johnny Hayes Jazz album. They're my words, so I'm kind of I'm proud of them actually. Wide Awake. I'm trying to remember it now. God, I've only just performed it the other night. It'll come back to me. Lovers left the room, and we're in servitude, 'cause we must consume for an economic boom. So this is the problem. We're all told that we've got to keep consuming, because otherwise, economic growth won't happen, and we'll be poorer for it, and the system will fall apart. Well, the system doesn't work. Clearly, I'm not saying that it can't work. It can, but it needs to be approached in a holistic way with the survival of all of us, life on Earth, at the center. Okay, so when I did Raindance, folks, the idea of an environmental song, which was, there had been a few of them, not many of them in the 60s, 70s, very few, one or two in the 80s, and then came Raindance. I was really told by the music industry that, I'm going down the wrong path there. What I should be doing is, getting on this whole boy girl bandwagon and writing for them, and I didn't want to know. I wasn't interested, and I'm still not, because I think music is supposed to be a force for positive change, not just entertainment. So on the cover of Raindance, which is to become Journey Songs 1, on the back, and you can't see that here, it's too small, the wording, but in that corner there, I wrote something, I reproduced something that I'd seen on a leaflet, a Greenpeace leaflet actually at the time. Quite a different organisation to what they are now. And if any of you have Raindance, you'll know this. The title of this bit of writing is Planet Earth is 4,600 million years old. Okay, so 4.5 billion years old. Allow me to read this, everyone. I know you can read it, but it says so much without me having to overdo it. If we condense this inconceivable time span into an understandable concept, we can liken Earth to a person of 46 years of age. Nothing is known about the first 7 years of this person's life, and whilst only scattered information exists about the middle span, we know that only at the age of 42 did the Earth begin to flower. Dinosaurs and the great reptiles did not appear until 1 year ago of this 46-year Earth human, when the planet was 45. Mammals arrived only 8 months ago. In the middle of last week, man-like apes, human-like apes I prefer to say, evolved into ape-like humans. And at the weekend, the last ice age envelops the Earth. Get that, okay, in time span, in understanding time spans. At the weekend, the ice age happened. Modern humans have been around for 4 hours. During the last hour, humans discovered agriculture. The Industrial Revolution began a minute ago. During those 60 seconds of biological time, modern human has made a rubbish tip of paradise. He has multiplied his numbers, or we have multiplied our numbers, to plague proportions, caused the extinction of 500 species of animals, far more now, of course, because it's many years later. Ransacked the planet for fuels, and now stands like a brutish infant. That means an aggressive infant. Gloating, that means feeling proud about his meteoric rise to ascendancy, his sudden rise to power as a species. On the brink of a war to end all wars, the Cold War, nuclear conflict, and of effectively destroying the oasis of life in the solar system, this oasis of life. So I put that on the back of the Raindance album because that encapsulated how I felt about this. Now, I so loved the Earth that I also started to think, well, maybe we'd be better off, the Earth would be better off without us. And so this last image is actually, some of you will recognize. Any of you out there recognize what this is, you can add in here. It is from a film. But it was such a profound moment in that film where this is the future and this person discovers a relic from our time. It's the Statue of Liberty buried in the sand. And I really, there is a line in Raindance, the answer is very simple: a world without its people has got to be better than this. That's how outraged I was. And a lot of us were. But, I don't want that to be the case, of course not. And really, this comes down to choice, our choice. We're either going to help the planet to thrive, which means we can thrive, though we're going to have to alter greatly how we live our lives, how we experience our existences. Or we're going to let things get really bad, even worse. And I still think there's a little bit of time, but that window of time is closing for us to really completely do an about turn about how we approach our lives on Earth as a mechanized and technical society. Now, one more thing, if I may. I went on to write many other songs about the environment, and I got involved in the Green Awards in Berlin. I got given an award for my dedication to environmental protection. I'm very proud of that. I forgot to put the picture here of me getting the award. I'll do it another time. But I'm still of a can-do attitude. In some ways, that's why I wanted Raindance to have energy and to be up-tempo. I didn't want it to be a dirge, a kind of a death march or something. No, not at all. Okay. So it is very up-tempo because I'm still positive. Let me just quickly go back here because a few people are saying, Rene's saying, the shot of the Statue of Liberty is from the original Planet of the Apes film. Amazing movie. Also the music of Jerry Goldsmith. Quite right, Rene. Well spotted. Carol's also saying the original Planet of the Apes film, folks. This is 1970s, not the recent trilogy, which is great. But the original one was quite shocking. And Polly is saying Planet Earth is not replaceable. There is no option for living on another planet. And if it were true, wouldn't be for most of us. Quite right. You may well be making a reference to billionaires in space, the likes of Richard Branson and all the other super wealthy people who will get the chance to go there, but not us. So, sorry folks, I'm drinking right by the microphone. Now, this is sorry, Polly, I didn't finish what you were saying. You can use what you need or need what you use. One creates waste, one doesn't. Well said. Very well said. Hero says, sometimes I get scared of chemical evolution. How do you think about coexisting with nature? Great question, Hero. We can do it. Um, but we've obviously got to face the fact that, contrary to what some people are saying, there are too many of us. And the answer to that, this is a very personal perspective, is birth control. Now, from a religious perspective, some people will question that. But you know what? This is an emergency, folks. Religious perspectives can be held when things have calmed down a bit, all right? We've got to get ourselves out of this mess. So that's what I think. Education and birth control around the world is hugely important. Um, but I think actually, Hero, if I may say this to all of you, and you've got some lovely comments here about what I'm saying, and I really appreciate that. Um, Actually, let me just. This is Alice. What are you saying here? What I really like about your writing is no matter what the lyrics are, and I know your message is important, the music is still very catchy. Your tunes still have a fantastic pop sound. Alice, it's important to say, and I appreciate that very much because you're right. That's not something I don't sit down and go, I got to write a catchy pop song, and then I'll put these really deep lyrics to it. That's just who I am. That's how I write. It's me. So thank you for that. Um, Alice, that's lovely. Okay. Where was I? Lost my thread. I don't know. Yes, things are going to. The thing, though, about how we coexist with nature, and then I'm going to sing the song, that is most important to me is that where is our outrage about the destruction of beauty? Because this planet is unbelievably beautiful. I think we've all got a bit blasé to documentary upon documentary of displaying how wonderful the earth is, and they're fantastic and beautiful, and I appreciate that they're being made. But photographs on Instagram all the time, and and we all love those photographs, but actually it's out there. The world is out there, and it's magnificent. It's not a photograph, it's not a video, it's not a holiday destination. It's Mother Earth. And I think this is where we have to change more than anything, Hero. Sorry, going back to you. You got me started. Is that we have to redevelop a reverence for Mother Earth. A lot of us have a reverence for an unseen deity. Now, you can have that. I'm not going to judge that. But where's the reverence for a seen, visible deity? The Earth, the planet. Whether you think about that spiritually or not is up to you. But that's what I think needs to change radically, is an appreciation of life, an appreciation of existence. And it's impossible without this planet. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for hanging on in there with me. My friend Alex in Hong Kong. Alex, you say, pity you don't have this album. You will with Journey Songs 1. It's all on there, okay? Plus a lot more. Yeah. Clipper tea. Organic tea, there you go. It doesn't use pesticides, or herbicides rather. And it tastes better. Okay. Listen, folks, just before I start, I want to say one more thing, and then I really need to move on, okay? I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for being, I think, partly patient with me, because I need to kind of, this is my story, and I hope you relate to it, and I'm not purposely trying to rub anyone up the wrong way. Let me say this. Raindance came out 13 years before Greta Thunberg was born. Raindance came out 16 years before Al Gore's landmark film An Inconvenient Truth. Now, there is a tendency in the current environmental movement, especially amongst the young, to look for someone to blame. It's very much part of our time. Someone has to be the scapegoat if anything's going wrong. There has to be two sides and they have to be in conflict. Have you noticed that? The number of social issues that are emerging where it puts people in conflict with one another rather than say, look, something needs to be fixed here, but let's look at our commonality and work together on this. That's not happening. So there is an element of the climate debate, the climate change debate, which says our generation are responsible for putting this younger generation in the situation they're in. And for someone who started writing environmental songs 13 years before the birth of Greta Thunberg, that is hard to hear. Because a lot of us, and I'm not trying to put myself on any kind of pedestal, because there were plenty more people who did plenty more for the planet than I did then, in the environmental movement. A lot of us have worked as hard as we can, and some of us have just had to grow into the idea. This is a life-changing situation we're facing. So I don't like this idea of that's like me scapegoating, those who brought about the Industrial Revolution. Well, there's some of the greatest poets and musicians alive were around during that time, warning us of the dangers of it back then. The original environmentalists. Go back further to the indigenous, the original environmentalists. So anyway, that's my druthers. Raindance came out in a time when that subject was not supported by certainly not the media and certainly not the music industry. So it's lovely to be able to play it for you now. I need some water. It's really hot here. Here we go. If paradise is such a fragile affair, then why have we the lion's share? As if we walk the earth alone, like infants breaking the cradle. There isn't anything we fail to corrupt. The flip side of the Midas touch. We're walking in a world of glass with iron footsteps. We do the rain dance every night and hope the gods will treat us right. And if the sky should tumble down, will it quench our thirst or crush us to the ground? Yeah, yeah. Ticket to the greatest event, the world inside a circus tent, where clowns debate disarmament and wildlife live within cages. The parody is never far from the truth, and mankind is the living proof. A dying planet in our arms, we walk the tightrope. We do the rain dance every night and hope the gods will treat us right. And if the sky should tumble down, will it quench our thirst or crush us to the ground? The answer's very simple. A world without its people has got to be better than this. Gotta be better than this, yeah, yeah, yeah. Doing the rain dance, the rain dance. Whoa, we do the rain dance every night and hope the gods will treat us right. And if the sky should tumble down, will it quench our thirst or crush us to Hey, hope you enjoyed that. You could tell I was into it, I hope. So there you go, folks. There's two versions to come on Journey Songs 1. Um, like I said, the remastered Raindance version and the remastered Fishing for Souls version. It's going to be a great 3 disc compilation. And I actually saw the artwork for Journey Songs 2 yesterday. Needs a little bit of tweaking, but that's going to be up there very soon. And we'll get to that because that's got a lot of it. Actually, a lot of it is environmental stroke spiritual, because I guess that's what I was trying to say, folks, is that I don't really like using the word the environment because it sounds like something out there. I like talking about life and Mother Earth. It's a spiritual thing to me. Sorry, Mother Earth is a spiritual being to me, but that's my view of it. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Like I say, scoot over to clarkdatcher.com if you want to get that download. And like I say, Journey Songs 1, the pre-order will be coming any day now. So let's just see what people are saying here. Lax is saying, great rendition, a song so ahead of its time. Thank you, Lax. Yes, tragically it was. I didn't intend that to be the case. I thought it was going to be at the moment when everyone was ready to embrace such a message. Richard saying, thanks for that, Clark, as usual. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. Ferdous is saying, lovely, superb, brilliant performance. Congrats. Thank you, Ferdous. And Alejandro, very good performance, Clark. Thank you, Alejandro. I appreciate that. And Annie says, I love the passion. Thank you. Well, Annie, I know you have very strong environmental concerns as well, so I'm sure you picked up on that. And everyone else, thank you so much. Vanessa's saying thank you. You're welcome, Vanessa. I hope you're doing well. Vanessa, I don't think you're anywhere close to where there's been real problems in Belgium, but I hope you're safe and I hope your loved ones are safe. And I say that to all my friends and family in West Germany, the western part of Germany, and in Holland and in Belgium. I know it's been catastrophic recently, and I've been watching the news with tears in my eyes, just unbelievable. But of course, this is happening all over the world, and it's when it's on our doorstep when we suddenly realize, actually, this is for real. This is not over there in that place where these things tend to happen. It's now happening here. Sarah's saying, great performance. Even my brother enjoyed it. I'm glad, Sarah. I'm glad Sarah's brother enjoyed it too. And everyone's saying, Matt's saying, save the planet. I'm with you, Matt. Absolutely. And Leave, lovely performance. Thank you. And Vanessa's saying you're fine. I'm glad to hear that, Vanessa. And Sania is saying, thank you, Clark. Super song. And that's wonderful. Okay. Ezria, last for now. Thanks for singing the song over here in live. Love it very much. Thank you, Sonia. Ezria, sorry, and Sonia and everyone else. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to sign off now. Let's have one quick round of Raindance. Sing with me, okay? By the way, we do the Raindance every night and hope the gods will treat us right. In other words, what I'm saying is that we can't just wish this into being. We can't even pray it into being. We've got to take concrete action to change the state of affairs. So here we go. We do the rain dance every night and hope the gods will treat us right. And if the sky should tumble down, will it quench our thirst or crush us to the ground? To the ground. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here we go. We do the rain dance. Adios. Take care.